Stay in your lane.
Welcome to the Mind Your Own podcast with Aaron Sorensen and Sasha Durkin, where we stick to sports, except when we're not.
Welcome back to another episode of the Mind Your Own podcast. I'm Aaron.
I'm Sasha.
And it is now fall in Nebraska. I have no idea what the weather is like where you are, but we have gone through everything in the last few weeks, and now it is a comfortable 70 degrees, and you know, this is like that perfect fall football weather.
Right? I made chili last night for dinner.
Wow. You know it's officially fall when the chili comes
Right?
out.
Crock-pot.
My mom was actually asking what I would like to have for dinner for my birthday, and she's really wanting me to. She wants to make chili, which is fine. Yeah. Do you do the cinnamon rolls with it, or do you?
I have never had that.
What?
I would not.
All right,
be,
I had plans for this podcast, and they have all changed.
I would not be really well recruited by Nebraska because actually maybe I would
Everything
because
has
I'd be
changed.
intrigued. I'd be like, oh, what is this? I guess I have to go to Nebraska to find out.
Yeah, what's interesting to me about chili and cinnamon rolls and that combination is how people eat it, because some people do actually dip the cinnamon roll in the chili.
I'd be a dipper.
See, I don't mix food in general. So I say like Thanksgiving meals, all of my food is very separated. Yeah. So I eat the chili and then the cinnamon roll. Right. They do not touch each other. And I understand that's not how everyone does it.
I need to talk to the people that drown the cinnamon roll with the chili because I'm assuming there are people like meatball sandwiches, like total freaks.
Yeah.
Like I don't like soggy bread or soggy bread like things. So I'm assuming I wouldn't like a soggy pastry.
I don't think so either. Oh, if you do that, I need you to let us know.
Right into the email box.
Yeah, it's mindyourownpodcast@hailvarsity.com. How was your weekend? Did you do anything exciting?
We are getting ready to sell our house.
Oh, wow.
And so, no. I mean, I did go golfing on Saturday. I actually played really well for once, which is like about freaking time because the last 3 times I played like absolute dog crap. So I didn't play like shit this week. It felt good.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't think I've ever played a good round of golf. I think I've played a better round than what I was expecting, but never good. Yeah. I'm the person that I wish I was better at golf, and I'm just not. That's
where I get really super mad because there are times when I hit the ball really well, but I can't ever put all 3 aspects of it together. If I'm hitting my driver well, my short game is crap, and I can't putt for crap. But on the back 9 on Saturday, I actually managed to somehow put them all together. And normally I'm about 50. Oh. I know that's not good.
I mean, I'm
per
not.
9. Per 9.
Okay. I'm still nowhere near that.
I shot exactly 100, and I did 42 on the back, which for me is like the best I've ever played any 9 holes. So shut up. I know that's not good. We need listening out there.
We need to get Jay Moore to chime in on our golfing because he is a golf fanatic.
I know.
He is a golf fanatic. In fact, if you haven't listened to it, his latest More to It podcast is with Brian Vermeer. And I mean, I always really enjoy his golf podcast, which is really funny because I wouldn't say I'm a golf enthusiast, but I really enjoy them because I'm like, so this is what it's like to be good at this sport. Like they're talking about nuances of things where I'm like, oh, I wish that was the thing I was concerned about.
Right.
I wish that was what I was concerned about. But
not just don't lift your head up. Like I sometimes have to remind myself, like stare at the ball until it's gone.
I took golf, by the way, my senior year of college. So my senior year of college, I had like, I did this. I'm glad that I listened to my advisor, but my advisor was really big on, give yourself like your final semester of college, like have some fun. So I did like coaching football, aerobics, golf. Like I did all these 1 credit classes, and the golf one was interesting, but it did not make me better.
Yeah, I got so frustrated. Like my husband got me golf lessons one year, but the instructor ended up being sick, and then he wanted to like go buy a boat. My husband did, and so then it just like never happened. And I'm like, hey, so am I ever gonna get those golf lessons again? Because like I don't know, I probably could use some help with my irons and putting. That's why I hate putt and I get so angry because I feel like I should be good at it and I'm not.
Yeah, I I want to go to Top Golf at some point.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say is Top Golf seems to be doing a fairly good job of its social distancing. I saw some people who had photos and they have big plastic kind of tarps between each bay. So there's there's really no
like interaction with the people next to you.
It's really only the server who might be coming to you, and obviously they have the open air space, so it's you're not sitting inside, you're technically outside. And I think I read that they allow you to bring your own clubs. Like if you really just do not want to like touch anything, you can bring your own. So I've been saying I want to get over there one of these days.
If Top Golf would love to have the Mind Your Own podcast there, they can feel free to hit us up.
Yeah, we will record while also working on our golf game, and we will talk endlessly about you.
I might have to bleep a few things because I get really mad. The F word comes out quite a bit when I'm golfing.
It's fine. You know, it could be our podcast after dark.
There you go.
So everyone just
we'll
like
throw that explicit tag up there.
Yeah. Now, I love a good, as my favorite Peloton instructor would say, I love a good what's the word? Shameless plug. That's what I was trying to say. Woo! I love a good shameless plug. And we were just talking about like if we were at Top Golf, we'd be happy to talk about you. We actually do though have a promotion going right now.
Yeah.
As a listener of the Mind Your Own podcast. The 2020 Husker Football Yearbook, Hill Varsity Husker Football Yearbook, which there was a period of time where we're like, it's going to be a collector's item. It actually like has we have a season, so you want the yearbook because here's the thing: it's 160 pages of everything you need, and it's still just as relevant. That includes 35 pages of Nebraska player and position previews, team-by-team breakdowns of the Big Ten, which you definitely need now, and in-depth feature writing. There's always really, really awesome stories in any issue of Hail Varsity, but the magazine or the yearbook itself always is our best work yet.
Yeah.
So as a listener, if you want a free yearbook, so free yearbook.
Free.
Absolutely free. All you have to do is go to store.hailvarsity.com and use the code FREEYEARBOOK at checkout, but it is only on a monthly or yearly auto-renewed subscription. So either the $2.99 a month or the $29.99 a year, either one, enter free yearbook at checkout, you will get a free yearbook. You have until Saturday, October 10th, which is also my birthday, so you're welcome to take advantage.
This would be Erin's birthday present to you for her birthday.
Knowing what's coming in the issues, the next issues, in addition to you'd get the yearbook, but then you're also going to get every issue and you get all the premium online content for Hail Varsity. So there's really never a better time.
Yeah.
Just do it.
That's a hell of a deal.
It really is.
Come on.
It really is.
Seriously.
I mean, I don't like to do the whole thing. It's just a cup of coffee a month, but you know, it is just a cup of coffee a month.
It's a pumpkin spice latte.
Yeah. And I'm always so impressed with our team and the work that they put out because they constantly outdo themselves. And the yearbook is that. And I have my feature on DiCaprio Boodle, which I am so glad he now has a senior season so that's you can get to know him a little bit more with that story because that story is really kind of he had this really great arc, and I'm like, is it not going to have an end? Because I don't know if I would see him coming back for another year. I still don't know if I would see him doing. Maybe he would. I don't know. I haven't asked him. But it's just one of those things where I'm excited now to kind of see the end of that story.
Yeah.
So get yourself a yearbook, free yearbook at checkout. Just go to store.hailvarsity.com. Love a good self-promo.
Yeah.
But
do it, though, because it's
do it.
totally worth the few dollars that you're going to spend in the grand scheme for the entire year. I still have pretty much every issue I've ever gotten because I love the photos too in every single issue.
We have some good photography.
I'm for real. Like
I have this giant tub in my basement of all of our issues.
Yes.
It's really embarrassing.
Yeah. It's not embarrassing.
No, I mean just because of like it's probably going to break a shelf.
Right.
Like I could probably but I just don't want them to get ruined. So they're all in one tub together and I'm going to have to eventually get a second one, but they are good coffee table books.
Yeah.
A lot of you do send me, photos of the yearbook on your coffee tables all year long. You'll see them in, doctor's offices, dentist office, dental offices. So I appreciate when you do that because it makes me feel good. Because we do create these things to be long-lasting. We want them to be for instance, so last March, we had an entirely different issue planned. And as that, like, the issue was going to go to print, I think, like 2 days after this happened. But Nebraska had its pro day. As that was happening, the world was like completely shifting. Mm-hmm. Everything was getting canceled. And I called Brandon Vogel, our editor, as I was leaving the stadium, Hawks Championship Center. And I told him, I think I have something if we need it. Because he's like, I think we have to scrap everything we've done. I think we have to completely shift gears. Yeah. And I mean, the thing is like, was that what we had planned to write? No. So there's a story about just how the world was changing around Nebraska's pro day. And the cool thing is now that is a timestamp that hopefully 20 years from now, when somebody is like, what did 2020 look like? I'm going to go back. You now have a physical documentation to show this is what was happening then.
Right. Exactly.
And I do love that.
Yeah, I do too.
It's a cool, like, I don't know. It kind of feels like you're constantly helping. Well, you are documenting history.
Yeah, we're living it right now.
These podcasts are documenting history.
Brought to you by Aaron and Sasha.
Like I said on the last one, if you're listening to these in 2024, we need to chat. It's like
you're gonna be real confused.
We're really confused, but let us know what the future is like. I will say this weekend for me, we got our carpets cleaned.
Yeah,
which is a process and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how often I would do that. If we had, a few years ago got new carpet.
Yeah.
And part of the warranty was that we had to get so many cleanings over a period of time.
Yeah.
And that would help us keep the warranty, that if something happened, we would be able to actually utilize the warranty as it stands.
Right.
So this was our last one. But it's such a process because you have to get everything out.
Mm-hmm.
And we only have carpet in our basement and on our top level.
Yeah.
So thankfully our main level is good. But it is something where like I had to take my entire closet out. And I have a big closet. I love
fashion,
clothes and fashion to the point that it's horrific. Like I acknowledge it.
You need an apartment.
Yeah.
For your fashion closet.
The people who have like I have I'm using air quotes. Like I have a cloffice in the sense that like I put a desk in my closet and that's where I work. But like there are people who literally have like whole guest rooms in their homes that they've turned into like cloffices, which is incredible. I also am like,
do you have cloffice and envy?
A little, but I have a nice closet, so I can't. I will say I live in an older home that was built like 1930s, so to even have a big walk-in closet, and we technically have two now in our master bedroom.
Yeah,
that's like prime real estate,
right?
Like I remember when we were looking at houses, one of the very first houses we walked into, I couldn't probably tell you anything else about the house, but I still think about the closets. So, I mean, closets mean a lot.
Everybody has different priorities.
Yeah, mine is closets. But by doing this, I kind of had this point. I came to this point where I'm like, all right, because I have to take everything out, I'm going to strategically go through everything as I bring it back in and only bring back in the stuff that I know that I want.
Yeah.
Because I have a really bad habit of like holding on to things and going, oh, I'll wear this at some point.
I do that too.
And some of it's okay. Like I think like I'm not a big person of like flipping my hangers around and like if I haven't worn this in 6 months, like
that's weird.
Right? Sometimes sometimes it's just like you're not feeling it, but in a year it comes back and like I don't know. So I think investment pieces, that's the thing. If it's investment, like keep it around. But as I was pulling this all back in, it's like, I mean, there's so many different. I was thinking like Marie Kondo with like, does it spark joy and whatever? Yeah. And I did watch that on Netflix, but there is a new Netflix show and it is based on a book that I have not read nor watched the series. So I just want to point out, I am doing the thing that I tell all of you not to do. I am reacting to something with absolutely no information. I am blindly reacting to something I have done very little research on. I am essentially reading the headline and yelling at you on Twitter because I have done the bare minimum.
Yeah.
So do as I say, not as I do. Do not go by my example. However, the home edit, they are an organizational system, and I can see why people are into it. But I'm going to read you their whole thing. The goal in starting the home edit was to reinvent traditional organizing and merge it with design and interior styling. While every project is rooted in functional systems that can be maintained for the long term, there is just as much emphasis placed on transforming the space visually and adding signature stylized aesthetic. So here's the thing. And I've seen people, and this is why I got onto this idea. Again, I know very little, but I saw somebody post on Instagram stories about them organizing their closet. Mm-hmm. And so here's how I organize mine. I take t-shirts, and all the t-shirts are in rainbow color.
Yep.
And I start with plain. So if it's like, take the white t-shirt section.
Yeah.
I start with the plain white t-shirts at the front and then go into graphic t-shirts in the back. So if I know I want to grab a plain white shirt, it's going to be in the front part of the white t-shirt sections. And then I go into long sleeves.
Yep.
Now, I get it. Like, I probably make a small mistake. I do not separate sweaters from long sleeves. I just figure if it's a long sleeve, they just go together.
Oh, I have to.
See, and maybe that's the next step. Maybe I take all the sweaters back out and then redo it.
Mine goes same, like, color-wise, but then I start with, like the flannels, and then I go to active wear and sweatshirts, and then sweaters are at the end.
Oh, wow. See, the home edit where somebody posted on Instagram stories, and I was like, okay, well, this is interesting. They talk about having zones in your closet. So, like, one's an athletic wear zone, and one's a comfy wear zone, and one's a sleep wear zone, and one's this. And I'm like, the thing is like, I don't have the ability, one, just space-wise, to create these zones. Yeah. Because, like, so one thing I did, I was very proud of myself. One thing I did do is I actually, like, organize my shoes better. So, like, if all my running and, like, workout shoes are now in one spot, all of my, like, more casual, I don't know, not
flats and stuff like that.
Like, they're all together, and then I have all of my nicer ones together. So I was, like, happy to do that. But I can't do, like, these zones thing. And so I was like, okay, I guess my graphic tees are all my my sports t-shirts or jerseys. I only have one. Actually, I have two. I don't believe in jerseys as a grown-ass adult. I have one hockey sweater because that's okay. And I have one Wes Welker Patriots jersey from, like, someone gave it as a gift when I was in college. Well,
and I've never worn it.
I have a Sorensen jersey for the Chiefs, but I'm sorry, he has my name. I can't help it.
Right.
I like, just, the whole thing is just, like, so I did the very bare minimum and, like, looked up more. So part of their system is about like they said, it's about the aesthetics. Like, it's about seeing it, which in, like, a playroom, which I saw some of their photos in a playroom, like, they organize, like, all the red toys together, all the yellow toys, all the orange toys. Ooh. I'm like, okay, it actually, like, I get it. It looks nice. And I guess for your kids, it's probably pretty easy to say, like,
good luck cleaning that all the time, though.
But I guess, like, if you're teaching them, you can say, put all the yellow toys together. It probably makes it easier that way. I do have questions about, like, what about Barbies that are, like, or, like, a random toy that's, like, a bunch of different
trash.
colors. Right.
Throw it away.
But the one that really got me was their pantries, because they organize their pantries based on color. So there's hypothetically the chance that a box of Trix could be next to a bottle of ketchup because they're both red.
No.
So, like, you have all of your condiments that are the same color together. And I had a really hard time with this one because I'm like, I understand it's a system, but I need somebody who is, like, a big home edit fan to, like, chat with me about this, because I need to understand how is that system, how does it work?
And why?
And how do you find things? I feel like I would so often forget I have something because
canned goods go on a shelf, cereal goes by it like each other. I've got, like, snacks are on the top shelf in our pantry. Like, nah, I can't live like that. I could not live like that. Yeah. Like, it's giving me anxiety, like, thinking about it.
It's a lot. And I mean, like, it looks, I'll be honest, it looks really pretty to look at. Because there's something about it where you're like, oh, like, that's...
It's aesthetically pleasing to the eye, but...
It's very, very... But, like, so I'm looking at this one, and in this, they do have, like, their cereals together, so that's good. But let me look. I'm just going to sort through their... Okay, so this is somebody's fridge. And... So, I don't know. It's just, like, the way that they organize. Like, this fridge doesn't look so bad in the sense that, like, they have the fruits all in one, where it's, like, raspberry, oranges, lemons, green apples, blueberry. Like, that's fine. And then they have their vegetables.
Who puts their apples in their fridge?
Well,
That's weird.
I do.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know. I know you're like, some people say you're not supposed to do that or tomatoes.
Tomatoes, no.
And yet I do both because I just am like, I'm just a insane person. I don't know.
Are you a peanut butter in the fridge person?
No.
Okay. I was like, I might have to reconsider
No. This podcast.
further doing podcasts.
Yeah, this is like so weird. So like they have cereal and it's organized by color, and then in the middle of it is like some oatmeal because that's a different. It's just like things would get so tough for me if I understand that they probably work their system around what you need,
Right.
but based on some of them, some of you are chaotic. I will say though, I probably do need to watch the show on Netflix because
There's a show on this?
Yes.
Oh boy.
So the reason I probably need to just suck it up and watch the show on Netflix is because I think they do a combination of like your everyday person in addition to celebrities. Like I think it's a combination. I don't think they only are working in celebrities' homes. I don't think they're just doing like everyday people. I think they're kind of like picking both so that you get a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not like Queer Eye where they're only going to people who are like not famous. Like they're kind of also adding that in. And I think part of it is because Reese Witherspoon is a producer on it.
Okay.
So they do apparently. I can't wait to look at your facial expression on this.
Okay.
They do go to her home to work in one closet. It's her memorabilia closet.
Oh, okay.
Which honestly I thought about, which I'm like, when I'm going through my closet and I have a hard time getting rid of something because it's sentimental, I'm like, can you imagine being a person who is wealthy enough where you're like, I'm just going to take that item and go put it into my memorabilia closet?
No, I can't. No, I cannot. I will say
it would be amazing.
I don't have a memorabilia closet, but I have like a cubby in our basement.
Okay.
And I say that I'm using it as that now because all the stuff in the basement is all memorabilia stuff. And when you list your house and they take pictures, you have to depersonalize your house. So all of that stuff is in a cubby.
Oh, interesting.
If they would like to come go through the cubby and then display it in a new house, like maybe I'd be a memorabilia closet. This reminds me of like Monica's The Closet, where she just puts stuff, the green closet door, and Chandler can't get in on Friends. And he opens it and is just like shocked because she's such like a hyper clean person and super organized. And then you go into like her memorabilia closet, it's just stacked to the top with stuff. Mm-hmm. Like that's what I imagined when you first brought this up.
Yeah, I like I was overwhelmed by it, but I probably need to do my due diligence. I'm not going to get the book because there are some people who swear by the book and are like, okay, like I'm going to follow this thing.
Yeah.
And I get that we all have our stuff. So it's totally fine. I respect you if this is how you do it, but like it's overwhelming to me.
Yeah.
And so I was just, the reason why is as I was organizing my closet and putting things back in, I kept seeing this one person that I know who was organizing her closet and she was doing like zones. And then I had this like really like inadequate feeling of like, well, what zones? Like I'm supposed to be doing zones? Like when did the zones start? So
am I doing this wrong now?
Yeah, I'm clearly, I will say I feel better. If you walked in my closet, you'd still say I have too many clothes and shoes and everything. And I get it.
That's
like
fine.
I definitely do.
Yeah.
But I feel better. I feel like I have removed more from it than I mean, I probably took out like 40 pieces of clothing and like 20 pairs of shoes, which again, that alone feels like a lot.
Right.
But it did make a good, like, I just feel like I can breathe a little bit better.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just funny how you take all this stuff out and you put it back and like, I already feel like I need to like vacuum the floors, but I also have 2 dogs. So it's just funny how like, well, hey, we just got our carpets cleaned and I'm like, it's already dirty.
Right.
It's not. It still looks nice. It's just, dogs are,
I don't like,
they're a lot.
the house hunting, selling, and buying process is so like, or any kind of updates or anything is so like stressful. Mm-hmm. Like we know what we want in a house. And now, like, we've made these improvements that we've needed to do forever. And now it's like you almost have, like, seller's remorse. Because now, like, you fix the stuff that always bothered you.
Yep.
Our house is just too small. I mean, that's why we're moving. But I'm like, every time I look around, I'm like, it just looks so nice and fancy in here. We just had the carpet re-stretched and we're getting it, like, cleaned and stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah, isn't that so? That's always the hardest part is you basically have to make everything nicer so that you can then sell it. And it's like, I guess why didn't we? So that's actually something that we're going through right now.
Yeah.
Is we are not planning on moving at least anytime soon. But because of that, it's always constantly like, do we do the thing now so we can enjoy it?
Right.
Or do we wait and then do it if we're getting ready to move? And it's just so hard.
Yeah.
Because like we don't need, well, no, we need new windows. We don't like need them like desperately.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where we'd probably need to replace them before the home ever were to be sold to someone else.
Right.
So again, like, do you do it now and enjoy it? But like windows are expensive. So it's not like a casual, like, oh, I'm just going to like make this decision. It's a pretty big financial decision.
Yeah. It's an investment.
Yeah. But also like, I just want to say like to myself as a note. So when we got our carpets cleaned, this was end of September. The last time we got our carpets cleaned again was around the same time, like end of September, early October, like 2 years ago. Why do I do this to myself? This is in football season normally. Like it worked out well this year because there wasn't football season, but like it's not like we knew that was going to happen. Why do I do this to myself?
Like clean it before you're not going to be home as much?
Well, no, just like have to be so chaotic. Well, like I think the last time we got them cleaned, I'm pretty sure. Well, no, I was at home because I remember the whole process because I was trying to fight our 2 dogs. Like we had a better setup this time to like help keep them out of the way. But the last time our basement was overrun with stuff. We hadn't cleaned it out yet. So like you couldn't really go down there. So I was having to like kind of keep them like pacified on the main level, but the door had to be propped open because they have the hose that comes inside.
Yeah.
It was a mess. This time was much easier.
Yeah.
It was a much better experience.
A little less chaotic.
But again, like, why do I do this to myself? It's like, you know that this time of the year is not great.
Right.
And yet here we do it.
But sometimes it's like the most convenient time because you got to get summer off your carpet, you know?
Yeah, and also it's so hard to like want to do those things when you're also kind of like not busy because it's like, why would I want to add this to my life right now?
Right.
So instead I'm just going to make it
keep with the chaos.
I just am glad it's over. Like I said, I'm glad it's over with, but if I start organizing my home, actually I have seen, so last week I mentioned this. There are people who I updated my
I was going to ask you about that.
I'm getting used to it. But there are people who have literally done like the home edit system to their phones where they're putting all of the like red apps in one folder, and I'm like, you can't find anything.
No.
Like, I don't think of things like that.
I'm old. And so like I have, like on Android, you can make different tabs on your home screen. It's not really a tab, but it's like a cluster of the different programs. Mm-hmm. I have coupons. So every like
do you say coupons or coupons?
I always say coupons. I was told that that's wrong, and so now I'm like hyper aware of it. And I try to say coupons.
I say
like
coupons.
vase, like it's a vase. Like I say coupons.
Coupons.
So like Hy-Vee and all that. I have one of those, like a page. And then I have like my fitness where all my Fitbit and all that stuff is in there. Like that's as far as I can go. I would never be able to find anything if I color coordinated it.
No, I'm like if I made a folder of all the red apps, like I would never know how to find anything.
Right.
Because what I'd be looking at to make that possible is I would have Target and ESPN and McDonald's all in one app or one folder.
Right.
And Wells Fargo. So like, cool. If I need to get lunch from McDonald's, like I guess it's conveniently next to the Wells Fargo app, which is conveniently next to Target and ESPN for whatever reason. Like none of that makes any sense. I'm sorry. If you do
go
that,
by what makes sense.
It has to. So like my homepage is like right now, all of the things that I use the most. And then I go from there. I'm telling you, some of you are insane.
Just so you know, if you were unaware, you are a little crazy.
You are a little crazy. And now you're probably going like, hey, you guys are just really all over the place this week. And you're right. So Nebraska football kicks off in like 3 weeks. Official like football availability is beginning this week. So my brain is very scattered.
Yeah.
It's in like about 15 different places. So just as a heads up, that's this podcast. It's just all over the place. You're welcome. I did have a chance to check our email, and we have emails.
Yay.
Apparently, one of you managed to call our email and leave a voice message, and I'm also just going to tell you, if you did that, I'm not listening to it because I don't know if it's not. I feel like there's a 40% chance of being spam.
Yeah.
Or destroying my computer. So if you did that, I need you to not, because no one listens to voicemails.
Type it out.
Yeah. I mean, we get it. It's an voice message. It came through Office 365. No, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to click on that. So if you would like to resend that, or if you would like to tell me that I just definitely shouldn't click on it because it's spam, that's fine.
Yeah.
However, we did get an actual email. That one might be an actual email. I have no idea. I'm not going to find out.
I wouldn't click on that either.
No, I'm not going to find out. It didn't go into the junk folder though, which is like
Okay.
a little bit suspicious. But Sky had asked us if we could take some time and just give some thoughts to the article that was shared by Nebraska on Dedrick Mills. Here's the thing. I would like to actually talk about this more. I just wanted to acknowledge it on this podcast that we saw your email, Sky, and thank you for sending it.
Yeah.
Because Dedrick Mills, if you haven't had a chance, and I recommend everyone go read it. He talked about mental health and the importance of his mental health, just the importance of mental health in general, but also for himself personally. And I think there's such a stigma in sports that you have to be this tough person. You have to be this tough ass. It doesn't really matter if you're, I mean, shit. This morning I already saw a tweet from, and I'm not even going to acknowledge who said it because he doesn't deserve that. But tweeting about how only women and children use emojis and men don't. And it's like, we have such a weird thing about attaching, like, if something is masculine or feminine to things that aren't
masculine or feminine.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like so often in sports, we do this thing where, like, mental health is not masculine. And so therefore, like, if a football player is battling with their mental health, they're weak. There's this association to it that it's weak. And I want to give this more time than, like, I'm ready to give it today. So give us, like, another week to kind of just sit with this topic, Sky, but I do appreciate you sending that, because this article, when it came out from the university, I'm really glad it exists, because there are so many young men and women out in the world who are going to see this and go, if Dedrick Mills feels the way I feel, it's okay.
Yeah.
And that's huge. One, the fact that Dedrick is feeling comfortable enough to acknowledge his truth and share it is great for him, but it's also great for every single person that's going to impact, because they're going to feel less alone knowing that this football player that they look up to and idolize is able to acknowledge and share their own mental health journey and
struggles.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is we're just so quick to, like, and I say we, by the way, is like the
just
big
society,
universal we.
Yeah.
But too many people are just so quick to be like, well, you're just,
Yeah.
You're
Every
not
single
tough, you're
word that
weak.
comes along with that. The thing, I mean, we could spend the whole next episode talking about this, because for me, it's something that is really, I don't want to say near and dear to me, because I would rather not have to struggle. But I think that it goes a long way to show that every single person is human, regardless of if they're a football player or a high caliber athlete, or just, me. Everybody struggles at some point in their life. And I really, like, if you think that you're above that, then I think that you're probably in denial a little bit with yourself.
Yeah.
Every person struggles, and I think that it's awesome that the university is willing to give their athletes the stage to talk about some of their struggles, because life isn't perfect and there is stuff that happens, and sometimes you need to take a reset a little bit and kind of internalize and look within at the stuff that you are dealing with.
Yeah, I just, and this is the way that we're going to transition, but I do like that. So if you want to hear more on this, I think this is going to be a big part of our next episode, because I want to spend more time with it than I would be able to give it right at this moment. But I do want to say, this is how I'm going to transition into this other piece I want to talk about, but it matters. Representation matters, and it matters. So when someone like Dedrick Mills steps up and speaks out and says, I battle with my own mental health, these are the things that I face. People, like I said, who whether it's children or whether it's other adults who suddenly feel less alone because somebody that seems so invincible suddenly is now more human to them. Representation matters, because when you see somebody else, whether they look like you or whether you want to aspire to how they are, whatever it is, it does matter. And so, completely transitioning to this, but under the idea that representation matters, NFL history was made on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited about it. For the first time in NFL history, there was a game that featured a woman ref and women coaches on each sideline. So Jennifer King, she was Washington's full-year coaching intern. She was on the other side from Callie Brownson, who's the Browns' chief of staff. Mm-hmm. And then Sarah Thomas is the NFL referee. She has been in the league, I think, for some time now.
Yeah.
But this is the first time you had
7 years, maybe,
a woman on each side of the field coaching alongside with a woman 5 years. Wow.
Yeah.
As a referee, Sarah Thomas. And all three of them are badass. Now, I would be lying if I said that the comments on these stories were perfect and sunshiny and rainbows. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who feel threatened by powerful and strong women. And I'm sorry that you feel that way. Actually, I'm not sorry one damn bit, because all three of them could kick your ass, and I would join them.
Yeah.
For me, though, this was like to the point where I legitimately was tearing up. And to somebody else, so I remember when I saw, this is going to sound, just go with me here. There's a train of thought here. I remember when I saw Black Panther, and I walked out of the theater and I turned to my fiance and said, I imagine the way that I felt after seeing Wonder Woman is the way so many young people of color are going to feel walking out having seen Black Panther, because for the first time they're seeing their superheroes on screen looking like them. Yep. And it felt so and I just got goosebumps again, because it makes me so excited, where I'm like, so many young people are going to see this person that looks like them and feel like things are so, like there's more to achieve. You can be a superhero. You can be this. Because when I looked at what happened on Sunday in these three women, I remember when I was growing up, I always had this idea that it would be really cool to be a football coach.
Yeah.
And when people would ask me, well, which position would you coach? I always wanted to be a quarterback's coach. I thought that would be like the coolest thing on the planet.
Yeah.
The problem is when I would tell people that, it would always be met with this idea that it was just really cute that I thought that way. Like, oh, that's so sweet. This young little girl, she would love to coach quarter. What does she know about quarterback? She's never played the game. Why would she? And I'll be honest, when you've been met with that enough times, you stop telling people. And
a part of you, for me, I started believing that.
Yep.
I couldn't do it because I've never played the game. I'll never be able to play it on that level. Like, what do I know? Mm-hmm. You start believing the outside noise sometimes.
Yeah. I fully believed that it was not possible.
Yeah.
Because, and now I will say, I was very fortunate. I have a great family. I grew up as an only child with a single mom, and I mean, it was really quite literally, if we could not do it, it couldn't be done, because it was just us. And so my mom taught me how to be a very, very strong, independent woman. And I appreciate that. My whole family, I've never been led to believe that anything was not possible. I'm very fortunate for that. That was very important. And I've had a lot of support systems in my life. Yeah. The thing though is support is one thing. Physically being able to see somebody do something is very different. So when I was growing up, and I remember when I was in high school and I would go to the College World Series, and I remember where it's weird how it's so imprinted in my mind. I remember where the ESPN Sports Center desk was situated outside of Rosenblatt. Mm-hmm. And I would always want to go, and I'd want to watch Linda Cohn at the Sports Center desk sitting there, because this was the first time it felt weird, but it felt like Linda belonged to me. It felt like she belonged to women. And so for me, and I'm tearing up right now talking about it, but she was aspirational in a way that I'm I see myself. I can see myself in this person.
There's your window.
If she can do it, I can do it. Right. So then when I started seeing Erin Andrews at the College World Series down on the sidelines, I was like, she's doing it. And here's the thing about Erin Andrews. She was a dance team member at I almost said UCF, at the University of Florida.
Yeah.
She's beautiful.
Yeah.
She's just, but the thing is I also started to find people started writing her off because of her beauty.
Yep.
But I was like, here's the thing. She was this dancer. She had all of these things. She was multifaceted because people are allowed to be multifaceted. Women are allowed to be those things.
Right.
And so when you look at the photo of Jennifer, Sarah, and Callie at the game on Sunday, it's 3 women who are doing the thing that they wanted to do and dreamed to do and are fighting to do. And it made me so happy because now there are so many women, so many young women in this world who are going to look at this and go, this is achievable for me.
Yep.
Sam Ponder, every Sunday after her show, she shares people who've been watching, and she loves to share people who have their daughters watching who get so excited. And this last Sunday, she shared a young girl who was sitting in front of her screen, in front of the TV screen, basically like yelling, announcing. Like she was like announcing like stuff, and she's like, this is great. Her own daughter, instead of saying "we ready," which is the NFL's like "we ready" thing, she was yelling "she ready," and she goes, "You don't understand the impact of hearing my daughter say "she ready" instead of "we ready." If you don't get it, you don't get it. But like, if you don't get it, it's because you've grown up with these people in every role possible for you,
and telling you the same thing that we've heard our entire lives. Mm-hmm. That's why you don't believe it, because you don't know it, you know? Yeah. And that's the one thing that it gets under my skin a little bit, because you can't force people to acknowledge or know something that, 1, they probably never have experienced in their life, and 2, just don't give a damn and don't want to. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, and they come from different walks of life too, you know? So it's like it's like a culture thing. Like we've, as women, have been told our whole lives, you can't do this, you can't do that. And then Sarah Thomas shows up on the field. And to me, watching that first game blew my freaking mind, because I was like so emotional, because I was like, oh my God, she's doing the damn thing, dude. I was so excited. And then to see this on Sunday, like I was taken to that emotional place all over again, because they're breaking barriers.
They're 100%.
And like opening so many doors for so many women of our age, women like that are younger, like little girls, like to have that to look up to. And like, I wish I was a little girl again, because then I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. Then you know it's attainable. Like when I was a kid,
so when someone tells
it wasn't attainable.
Yeah, when someone tells you, oh, that's cute that you want to do this thing, you can point to them and be like, great, they're doing it.
I hope I'm that cute.
Yeah.
You know?
It's the thing about when I have, and it's mostly, and I'm not going to mince words here, it's always white men. It's always white men who tell me like, it's always this idea that like, well, why is this such a big deal? Why does it, like, it should be it's
as long as you're qualified.
Yeah, it should be about the most qualified individual. It should be, and it's like, yep, absolutely. But like, you can't tell me that there are not women and people of color who are not qualified for these positions.
Right.
And when my question that I always ask is, why are men coaching women's sports then? Mm-hmm. Because there are a lot of men who are coaching women's sports who never played those games.
Right. You didn't. Yeah. Yes.
But they're somehow like okay to be in that role. But like when it goes reverse, it's suddenly like a woman can't be coaching men. I'm going to go out on a limb and say there's probably not a single player on either of these teams who gives a shit who is giving them coaching direction, as long as they're good at what they do.
Exactly.
And if these 2 women are good at what they do and good enough to get a job, then let them be good at what they do. Yep. And for the people who are like, well, Sarah Thomas made this one bad call. Do you know how many refs make bad calls?
And you guys sit on your couch and bitch about those calls all the time, and don't bring up the fact that they're men. Yeah. Shut up.
She's allowed to make a bad call, because guess what? Officials do that, and it does not matter who you are. They make them all the time. I mean, how many? Do
you know how hard that job is? You can't be everywhere and see everything all the time.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
sorry.
Gonna mess up.
You're watching the game on your TV.
I mean,
they're on the field.
We all mess up. That's the thing is, like, I always say to people too when they ask me about like the toughest part of my job. The toughest part of my job is being wrong. And not because I can't be wrong, but it is because if I am wrong, I get it pointed out far more than any of my male colleagues.
And if it was the other way around, and I've seen this because it's happened to me, if the person that I was co-host or live producing, like they call it active producer, if they made the same mistake and misspoke on something, crickets. But the second I did it, flooded in my email box or instantly added on Twitter. I misspoke. I'm a freaking human being, and you know what I was talking about. So, like, get out of here.
And I think sometimes people have to remember, like, whether it's in that, so from media to an official to coaches to anything else, like, we all get things wrong. And I will say, like, especially with, like, live stuff, even with these podcasts, there are times where, like, I'll call myself out. A few weeks ago, I was talking about one of the athletic directors who was actually a president, and I kept switching between them. It's not a big deal. You know who I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Like, I understand we're recording and we're going. It's not getting edited in the way that, like, I'm going to go, okay, Sasha, I'm going to stop, and now let me go fix this one. You're just going.
Right.
And we
don't have notes when we come in here, you guys. Like, just a heads up.
Very
it's
vague
like
notes.
Flying by the seat of our pants, like going with the conversation. So like that stuff's gonna happen.
Yeah. And I mean, and I'm okay like acknowledging that. Like, I'm not always gonna be right. And like, so the thing though is I'm willing to learn. So I'm not like I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that like I'm this like I know everything about. I remember when Mike Riley hired Bob Diaco, and we switched from a 4-3 to a 3-4. I know what a 4-3 front versus a 3-4 front is, but what I didn't understand is sort of the like nuances of a 3-4 defense because I hadn't covered a team that ran a 3-4. I knew like Wisconsin ran a 3-4, but like there was a lot that I didn't get it. And so I asked my fiance, he played college football. Yeah. I asked him, I said, can we run through it? And we literally took furniture and set up a defensive line in our living room. And he was walking through like, okay, so here's the nose tackle and here's the ends and here's what we're going to do. And here's where the linebackers are going to be. And here's how we're going to have this person. And so he was explaining like different scenarios based on what, may or may not happen in the 3-4 front. And so what was the most helpful in that, and something that hadn't like fully clicked in my head until he showed it to me, and then I was able to then go ask Mick Stoltenberg. So when I did a story on Mick Stoltenberg, I was so much more equipped for that. But Mick still walked me through some of his challenges. Is it went from Mick having to do a 1 gap in a 4-3 where he was only responsible for this 1 gap to now being responsible for 2 gaps.
Right.
And for some reason that had not registered with me until we set it up and I walked through it. But here's the thing. Yes, if you played football and like, okay, maybe your middle school team ran both a 4-3 and a 3-4, so you have like so much more insight. I wanted to understand it better and knew that I didn't understand it enough.
Right.
And I'll be honest, I don't understand everything either. None of us do.
No.
I mean, Tom Osborne made a joke about allowing media at practices, and this was like, he made this joke, I think, in the 90s about how it was okay for media to come because we're not smart enough to know what we're looking at anyway. But he's right. Like, unless it's your system, unless you're at practice every day. And even then they get it wrong.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
We talk about how many, he's not studying the playbook. It's like, because there's so much there. Like, shit's going to happen. Like, not everyone's perfect. Like, yes, people are going to understand things better, but it has nothing to do with if you've played the game or not.
Right.
I mean, I took history of rock and roll in college, and like, it's not like did somebody stop me at the door and be like, hold up, you've really never played an instrument past like 3rd grade. You can't be in here.
Whatever, the recorder.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing is you're going to show up, and if it's all based on the work you're willing to do.
Exactly.
And I hate though as a woman that I'm constantly having to prove myself. Like it's always if you mess up, it always knocks you back so much further, and then you're having to constantly regain more trust.
Exactly. And then having to make sure that you are right at least for a period of time so that people are like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Like now you're fine cuz you know this. Like I hate that they're the double. That's like a double standard, a gigantic one.
And if you're two, so apparently you can't. If you're a woman, you can use emojis, but if you're a man and you use emojis, like you're not cool or not manly enough. we just have to stop. This is the only way else. We have to stop sexualizing everything in our world.
Seriously.
Things are not always feminine. Things are not always masculine. Things sometimes just are simply things.
Yep.
And you may look at somebody and go, she is more feminine. Great. She can be more feminine. She can be more masculine. You know, it doesn't matter. I've had everything thrown at me about I'm only in my job because I'm pretty. Mm-hmm. I'm also ugly as shit, by the way. So like these are the comments that I get on social media. I'm really unattractive. It's unfortunate what happened to my face after our accident. Jesus. Hopefully I can get it fixed. But wait, I'm also still too pretty because that's how I got my job.
Right.
The amount of stuff that is thrown at me and at any woman, I'm just saying from my own personal experience where I'm either too much, too little, too skinny, too fat. I've had people...
You know what? Has nothing to do with what you know about anything.
No.
What you look like and how much you weigh.
Yep.
I'm not talking to my my grandpa and being like, you know what, grandpa, you don't deserve to talk about what you're talking about because you're too old and you have hearing aids. Yeah. Like, come on.
No,
shit pisses me off to no end.
I had a person who
Looks had nothing to do.
Screenshotted my legs one time and basically said that they were too fat. Because apparently the jeans I was wearing were not flattering. And here's the thing is like, we're all guilty of
being
judgmental. Yeah. But there's a level that like women in sports and women just in
the public eye at all.
Yeah, we get just unfortunately. And if you think it's not true, just take a step back and like really look at it for a minute.
Yep.
Because there are times where I have to, like, going back to mental health, like, I have to be very hyper aware of where I'm at mentally because it's really easy to spiral.
Yep.
It's really easy to go, like, my worth is based on what, Joe
Schmo
1 2 3 4 on Twitter says. And it's not. But it's really hard. It's really hard to not let that get to you where you're like, well, I guess maybe I could have eaten less yesterday or I could have done this. And, like, for the record, when I bring up stuff like where I remember at the Minnesota game in 2017 when I ate like 5 dilly bars.
Yeah.
Like there are people who will literally respond and be like, well, I can tell. It's like, why do you feel and why do
you even need to say that?
But it's a crappy thing to feel like I can't share things because if I say it, somebody's going to take it the wrong way.
I'm like so frustrated I can't even like say words, but like we should be able to do whatever the hell we want to, and it shouldn't even be brought up what we look like.
Right.
Our looks have nothing to do with our knowledge.
Right. So if you were somebody who looked at the photo of the 3 women on Sunday and your first reaction was to base anything off of their looks, you need to take a step back and ask yourself why. Because those 3 women are changing. They are changing history. And I don't like to do the whole thing. Think about your mother, your daughter, your grandma. We all have moms. Yeah. We all have grandmas. Some of you have daughters. It shouldn't have to be that for you to realize that women are people and that when history is made, whether that's for women or people of color, it's not taking away from you. And I use you as the general broad you, not you personally. It's not taking away from anyone. It's in fact adding to it. It's expanding the conversation. It's expanding the world for so many where now there are young people who are going to look. And for the record, these women will change how young men look at women in sports too. It's not just influencing young women. It's going to change how young men look at them and say, women can do this too. Don't get in the way of this. You have to get out of the damn way because you are not going to help your daughters. You are not going to help the young women in this country, but you're also not going to help your sons. Yeah. When you get in the way because it looks petty. It looks it's hateful and it's really it's not doing a damn thing for the 3, like it's not affecting these 3 women one bit, but it's sure making you look like a piece of crap. So I just
stop being threatened by people who you have deemed that are lesser than you somehow.
There are so many men in roles in jobs that I admire greatly and I look up to and I've always looked up to and that hasn't changed. I think it's good for both young women and young men to have people to look up to as both women. I think it's good for us to have idols that are men, women, people of color, people who look different than us, people who who challenge our thinking, who agree with our thinking. It makes us more well-rounded people when we have a bigger world to pull from. So I'm so happy that this happened. And I realized, like, through all of this, like, what is our challenge for the week? My challenge would be just to, like, when you find yourself reacting to something that maybe you need to just change your thinking for a second and see if maybe there's a different way to see it. If you find yourself threatened by something, or if you find yourself reacting to something like this, that's so like such a monumental thing with hate, just stop yourself for a second and ask why.
Inner reflection time, again, is the assignment this week.
And read Dedrick Mill's story. That's on Huskers.com. We'll talk about that next week. I think that's a great topic, especially, keeping with sports, sticking to sports, but adjacently.
Yes.
It's sticking to sports, but kind of not at the same time. But it's a good conversation to have. These are important conversations to have. I just kicked the table so hard, so I apologize. I'm so fired up. These are important conversations to have. And, I hope that you will join us next week and every week after, because these are those kind of conversations I want to have. You can email us your thoughts at mindyourownpodcast@hailvarsity.com. I'm at Erin Sorensen on Twitter. You're
at Sasha72.
I actually knew it. I was going to say it for you, but I was like, I'll let you do it. So you can message myself at Erin Sorensen, at Sasha72. Just let us know what you're thinking and use that email inbox and type
it out, not a voicemail.
Yeah, don't send voicemails, because who listens to voicemails anyway? And we just are thankful you're here. Leave a review.
Yes. 5 stars only.
5 stars only positive feedback. I need that I'm just kidding. But anyway, thank you for joining us. We'll be back next Wednesday.
Talk to you next week.